All right. Hey, brothers and sisters. All right. So sorry about this. I was trying to get everybody involved, but hold on for a second because I know a few of y'all are in here. All right. I know a few of you all are in here. So let me go back and do some things real quick. Make sure I'm straight. All right. And this is going to be very, very important. Okay. Because I think we as a people, based on a lot of things, are very, very ignorant to some of the things going on. All right. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to break down to everyone as I get started with this. All right. And I want us to have some clear understanding as to what's going on in geopolitics. All right. And there's a couple of things that a lot of people can't comprehend. There's a bunch of Afro people talking about stuff on two sides of the spectrum, either for whatever happened or against whatever happened, right? Everybody's views seem to be skewed when you really get down and try to talk with them. All right. And so as I as I look at everything, all right, as I look at everything, I start to see um, just clearly, we really, many of us really don't have a clue as to what's going on. All right. And many of us think we know what's going on based on either political leanings, some of us military leanings, although the military leaning people might understand a little better than some of the other people out here. All right. But nevertheless, um, most of us seem to be clueless about all these things because at the end of the day, we don't know anything about geopolitics. We don't understand anything about geography. We only pay attention to the news we like, not just the news. So we don't go and look at things from other sources. All right. And this is the state that we're in as a people. All right. Part of what's going on here is that in our psyche, much of our community is led with that female mindset. We try to judge things based on our feelings instead of looking at things objectively. We start getting afraid of things that may or may not happen, and if it does happen, it's not going to involve us. If the United States would stop being afraid of everything, right? Stop being afraid, oh, we might die doing stuff. If we were brave, if we were a brave country, no one would ever mess with us. And this includes the entire West. If we were all brave countries, if the West were full of brave, decent people, no one would have to fear anything. It's hard to be brave when everybody can legitimately look at you as the biggest persecutors of everyone else in the world, that being the West or European style run government. When they can look at you as being the people that brought the most evil, the most greed and stuff, it's hard not being afraid of judgment. All right. But as I let more brothers know that I'm on here, fortunately, this is not the time of judgment for the United States. All right. And in all probability, all right, this thing is not going to be ratcheted in the way that people think unless our political system cause it to be ratcheted up. Our biggest problem right now in the United States is going to be our political system. And let's be clearer. Our biggest problem in the United States is going to be the Democrats, and not because they're opposing people, but there is so much lack of trust of them because of how they tried to smear this particular president from day one out of pure H8, that he doesn't trust them for anything. All right. When people are doing their worst to you, you're like, F them. What more can they do that they already have not tried or that they already are not doing? So now there is no balance as far as information that this president is going to get from anybody, because one whole segment of the populace, this guy cannot trust. I want y'all to understand this. He can't trust people that work with him because the FBI, the CIA, everybody that worked with him kind of like sold him out, helped set him up. So, for those of you that have not been paying attention to what's been going on, the United States have sent an airstrike into Iraq to take down an Iranian general who was in Iraq making plans for hard hits on the U.S. What we understand, or what people understand that's kind of in the know, and keep this in mind, people are only kind of in the know but people don't really know what's really going on, because a lot of this was kept so far under wraps. It's ridiculous. None of the Democrats were informed about what was going on. And quite frankly, if I was in leadership and had people do to me what the Democrats did to him, I wouldn't tell them a damn thing either. They would never know anything that I'm doing the whole time I'm working with them. If I had a group of people that worked with me that was appointed by somebody else that made every attempt to subvert my decisions and stuff, I wouldn't trust them in anything either. This is what happens. This is what happened to our government. The main reason why you can't trust them with anything, because for some reason, every last one of the secret plans about what we're going to do or plans or stuff always get leaked to the media, and then the media turns it around and makes it just kind of the most horrific thing to make this guy look bad. That's the media's only purpose. So now, the very people that this man cannot trust in making a serious decision like this is the very people. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not being. The very people he cannot trust is the very people that you should be able to trust in a situation like this. But we all understand that, no, you can't trust these people. All right. And so now we're at this point where you really are in a situation where you got the leader of the free world that cannot trust half the people that he should be able to trust, because at each time, most of the people that he's supposed to be able to trust has stabbed him in the back. The media has stabbed him in the back. Everybody has stabbed this dude in the back. All right. If this president was smart, any other secret plans that he had, it would behoove him not to let anybody else know anything except for the people he let know this. And the reason why I say this is this. The people he let in on this particular thing did not tell a soul. All right. And we're going to break down kind of how this thing worked. All right. So hold on for a second. All right, I'm back. I'm back. All right, so basically, this will let you know that there's a bunch of stuff going on geopolitically that we better pay attention to. All right, so let's break this down geopolitically. When you look at what's going on, not everybody is upset this guy is gone. All right, I want y'all to understand this. Not everybody is upset this guy is gone. As a matter of fact, there are many Muslims that are dancing in the streets in, let me see. Well, I'll show you what's going on. Next to the last. All right, let me show you what's going on. What's really going on. And the reason why this is important, because when I say there are many people dancing in the streets, this lets you know all right, those aren't the people literally dancing. All right. All right, here we go. So this lets you know that this thing is bigger than us. It's bigger than what you understand. This is bigger than what most people in the United States understand. All right. So let me greet everybody. Hey, so what's up? Hey, what's up, B the Great B? All right, what's up, Terrence? 911 Nomad. All right. Captain Marvel, what's going on? Simplified Texas Marine. Hey, Clinton. Dang, I lost my place. Sorry. Lion of Judah. All right. So let's get this thing broken down real quick. All right. So basically, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have a bunch of us too ignorant to understand what's going on. All right. And so one of the things that I want to do is break down I want to break down two stories, one from Bloomberg and one from Fox, okay? And we're going to just discuss how these things go together. Now, how I'm going to come in on this is I'm very familiar with the history of a lot of this, from all the way to the point as to how Iran actually became an adversary of the United States based on stuff the United States did. All right. All right. So basically, we're going to go into kind of a breakdown, an abbreviated breakdown on how all this stuff happened, right? This is according to Bloomberg News, and both news articles are in the description box, all right? At this time, let me remind y'all, if y'all haven't and if y'all can, for those that can donate to the channel, my donation link will be in the description box. You take care of yourself and family first. In the description box, if you haven't and have an Instagram account, if you can subscribe to the NGO, I would most appreciate it. Okay. Okay, so the Bloomberg goes into this. Qasem Soleimani hunted the U.S. for more than 2 decades in a lethal adversary blamed for the death of hundreds of American troops in the Middle East. Okay, so that's troops. All right. And nothing was done because everybody understands these are troops. And yet the second most powerful person in Iran, it made him almost untouchable in the eyes of Donald Trump's predecessors. Now, this is true. That long-standing restraint ended in dramatic fashion Thursday with Trump's order to launch a nighttime strike in Baghdad. All right. And it drove tensions with Iran. Okay. So, it goes into his background. So he has a long history and long background, right? But what happened is they shot down the drone, and the Democrats and other people wanted him. And y'all remember that. Everybody wanted him, especially the Democrats. They hammered him. Nancy Pelosi specifically hammered him about not taking action for the drone. They had a plan, and he backed off it once he understood how many Iraqi civilians would be harmed as a result of collateral damage. So he didn't think Iraqi civilians were worth a drone. Some people praised him for that. Some people, disagreed with him for that. And especially the left disagreed with him for that. Especially the left, I want y'all to understand this, disagreed with him for that. If you don't believe me, go back and look at the hit he took from the left. Hey, what's up, Terrence? All right, got Clinton. Got Lion of Judah. All right. Now, here's the thing. Don't nobody have to do anything. But then again, what kind of hit is he going to have? Hey, Frizzo. My nizzle for shizzle. All right. Hey, what's up, Firefox 192? Hey, Simplify USMC vet. So this is what's going on. So basically, you got a battle between a combatant in this general and the United States, which is a combatant. All right. He is one of the top generals that's fighting us in Iraq. Period. Hands down. And that wasn't even enough to target him. And that's what this is seen as, is a targeted event. All right. So if let's get it more into detail as to what happened. All right. So the drone strike wasn't enough to push Trump into taking actions, but when they sent a rocket attack, all right, against the U.S. base in Iraq, Trump ordered a strike on the general. And this is according to 3 people familiar with the matter. Trump discussed this with France. He probably talked to Germany. And of course, Israel was in on this discussion. All right. The French spokesperson, the Germans or spokeswoman, this German spokeswoman, and Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, they all commented on this after the fact. All right. Trump sent a message through the French envoys to warn the Irani people that stuff was about to go down. All right. So this is how this went down. And this is what I thought was real curious. And this is why I said the things that I said at first. All right. Trump's close circle of national security advisors was scattered across the country for the holidays. All right. So what happened is when they launched the attack, they killed a civilian that was he was just a regular worker. He wasn't a combatant. All right. And the intel during this thing said that was only the beginning. All right. Now, there is floating out that the embassy in Tehran was going to be it again. As a matter of fact, Tehran was in the news recently, and Trump said the people in Tehran may have nothing to fear. And so they understood, and even in the news before the Christmas holidays, understood there was talk of something going on in Tehran at the embassy. Right? So these are where the people were. Trump's circle of national security advisors were scattered across the country for the holidays. Acting Chief of Staff was in Key West. National Robert O'Brien was in California. Pompeo was in Washington. So he was supposed to go to the Ukraine, but he canceled the trip to the Ukraine. Now we know why. Pence was in Annapolis, Maryland. And Sanibel was in Florida. The team used secure communication lines to repeatedly discuss the strike. All right. They had a small number of lawyers on the National Security Council who were also involved. Wait a minute. I want y'all to pick this out. All right. I want y'all to pick this out, how this was done. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Let me take a drink. Hold on. Because I haven't been able to greet this brother in a while. Hey, what's up, Lord Vader? What's going on, Lord Vader? Haven't been able to do that for a minute, man. You good? All right. And so, all right. And so this is where we at. This is where we're at. All right. So anyway, so this is where we're at. All right. All these people were scattered abroad. Mitch McConnell might have known, and Lindsey Graham. All right. He did not tell any Democrat anything. Because if you want something leaked to the news about something that is in the national security interest of the United States, all right, and it's a secret, it'll go to the Democrats. All right. The Democrats will do it. They will leak everything this president does. So he didn't tell nobody nothing. I wouldn't blame him. If somebody showed themselves to be wicked towards me, I wouldn't tell them a damn thing either. All right. So, but I want y'all to look at this. So this thing started after December 27th. All right. And so this is what happened on December 27th. All right. The straw that broke the back was they hit a contractor. They killed a contractor. All right. And the reason why all this stuff is important is because, unlike many other Americans where we're not aware of history, the Trump administration, or Trump, is. He's also aware of how people perceive things, being that, as my friends say, he's probably a made man. All right? Understand this. He believes that certain lines should not ever be crossed. And they, in this instance, got crossed. All right? And so now this is what's going on. And this is why I wanted the thinking brothers to pay attention to this video right here. This is going to be difficult for other brothers because, first of all, they don't like things that take a while. All right. And when you tell them, well, I'm going to bring history or scripture into something, these brothers ain't, I can't call them brothers. These simps ain't trying to hear it. Because that requires too much thought. All right. So here's the history of the Ayatollah regime. All right. Now, keep in mind, hey, what's up, Roger? Keep this in mind, that Iran is run by an Ayatollah. What, pray tell, is that? That's kind of a spiritual priestly leadership / political leadership. Or dare I say, and the white would understand this, an imam on steroids. All right. So, Iraq is run by an Ayatollah. Iraq used to be a democratically run country, but our CIA went and overthrew the democratically elect person because we felt like we couldn't control them, and installed the Ayatollah. It was the Ayatollah Khomeini, and then I can't pronounce the other one, right? And so basically, this is what's going on. Here's another thing you must understand. That under the Carter administration, what hit him hard, other than the gas crisis, there was an oil embargo by OPEC. And it hit the United States hard. The one good thing that came out of this oil embargo is it forced the United States to make fuel-efficient cars, or more fuel-efficient cars. All right? But the other thing that came out of it was, under the Carter administration, during the last part, a bunch of students went and took over and took hostages in the embassy of the United States. And this was under the leadership of the Ayatollah Khomeini. All right? So that's the first thing. This hostage situation was so bad, it lasted almost a year, that Reagan was able to soundly beat Carter based on this alone. Reagan came in, the hostages were released before Carter left office. So Reagan got elected. Carter was able to negotiate the release of the hostages before he left office. And basically, people was like, it was the ray gun, right? And he is the reason that the hostage got released. Okay? Thanks, Dwight. All right. So, that's a little history. Our CIA overthrew a democratic elected government over oil, installed the own leadership, and that backfired on us like everybody else in history that the CIA did, right? And basically, what was the problem? Oh, greed over oil, right? And so they take hostages, they become ultra conservative religious, and Iran, most people, I might get this backward. Let me see. The two main Islamic traditions are going to be the Shiites and the Sunnis. In Iran, they are Shiites, but most of the world are Sunnis. Hey, Dwight, let me know if I reversed that. If you could let me know in real quick. So I know Iran is like a Shiite in the midst of Sunnis, or either they're Sunnis in the midst of Shiites, but they're the minority Muslim type of the two. So let's wait for a response back from Dwight, because my memory is kind of fading me. I think they're Shiites. Okay, so basically, that's a little bit of the history, right? So we go on and train the United States CIA in their brilliance after the success of installing the Ayatollah Khomeini. In the crash course of the Ayatollah Khomeini, right after that, the Soviets invade Afghanistan, and we decided to side with the Afghanis, and we create Al-Qaeda. And we set up bin Laden. Remember, bin Laden was our friend before he wasn't. And how did that work out? Oh, bin Laden stabbed us in the back after we stabbed him in the back first. So Al-Qaeda turned into ISIL, ISIS, and all the rest of this stuff, right? So, that's, hey, what's up, Negro Sam? So that's our intervention. Every time we intervene and try to do Shia and Sunni. But, hey, Dwight, which one is Iran? Because we know Iran is, I think they're Shiite, but most of the world is, okay, the Iran is Shia. Iran is Shia. And they are the minority of that group. They're the majority of the group in Iran. So Iran got Shia and Sunni. But inside Iran, they are mostly Shia with a little bit of Sunni. Outside of Iran, the world is mostly Sunni, but a little bit of Shia. Okay? So that's how that goes. It's like Iceland and Greenland. Most of the world is Sunni, but there's only a little bit of Shia. But in Iran, they're mainly Shia with a little bit of Sunni. Okay? Just think Iceland, Greenland. And there you go. Hey, what's up, Daniels? And so, every time we intervene in something through the CIA, it just don't look too good for us after a while, by and by. All right. So now, as we look at this, what's going on now? So now we've created an because of that coup where we installed the Shah of Iran, because of that coup way back in the 70s, that bit us in the butt all the way up until the 80s. All right. Got Carter booted out of office. All right. We had adversarial ever since that coup with Iran. All right. I'm not even going to go into how we messed up the relationship we had with Iraq. Iraq, Libya, and all the rest of that, the United States should have just left alone. And now they're paying in blood and dollars. All right. So basically, we created bin Laden to help fight against the Soviets during their invasion of Afghanistan. Kind of worked. Except when we was done everything we promised to give them, well, you know what we do back in those days. I don't know if we still doing it. All right. And so then they turned into things. We was like, oh, hey, what's up, Roderick Hayes? We was like, oh, that's a little teeny tiny group. What, how can that turn out? Well, y'all see how it turns out now. All right. So then what happens after that? All right. So now we got Bush Jr. All right. So I was in the military during Desert Storm, Desert Shield. Things were, when this war started off, we all was like scared. We like, oh, dang, we going to war. It ended so quick that there was a sense of euphoria. And because we were winning the way we did, we wanted to go all the way into Iraq. All right. We had two generals that was like totally against that. We had Baker, who was against that. All right. And we had Palpatine, that was the vice president that was running the Bush administration. Bush Jr. at the time was against that because this was the Powell Doctrine. The Powell Doctrine was to go in with full force, have an interplan, have a plan, have a motive, have an exit plan, have a purpose, get the job done and leave. Did it so fast. The stealth bomber just was softening things up. And so basically, most of the stuff was people just picking up, cleaning up the aftermath, right? What happened was the soldiers really wanted to go all the way into Iraq. Oh, let's go take Iraq. Let's go take it. And Colin Powell was like, no, that was not the purpose. We're not doing that, because these are people that understand history and culture at the time. We had generals that understood the culture. We had generals that understood Muslim people. And we had a purpose. Our purpose was that we had a treaty with Kuwait. And once we pushed Iraq back into their own territory and made sure they were there, we went in a little bit. That was it. Okay? And so basically, and I remember this, they said, no, we are not going in. All right. We are now, hindsight 2020, with the second one, seeing what Bush Jr. did. Yeah, we kind of figured it out. Yep, the dad was right. and what he did, and maybe they should have listened to Colin Powell again. All right, but Palpatine was running Bush Jr. Y'all know who I'm talking about when I say Palpatine. All right, and him and Rumsfeld was running the presidency, at least for the first year and a half. All right, so when you look at the pictures I showed you, you have a lot of Iranians. You have a lot of them that are rejoicing, but then right after those pictures came the Iranians. Okay, now we got to retaliate because they got to do something, then we got to do something back. All right, but this is how this stuff starts to get muddied and muddled. And all this is based on European greed. All this is based on European greed. They must take over, take everything from everybody, want to be in control of everything at all times. Cheney, yep, Emperor Palpatine. All right. All right. And so basically, and all this was based on greed of oil because our businessmen will earn $1 billion, and $1 billion just isn't enough. They want to control everybody's thoughts and everything, and they want our military to do it. So our CIA subverts everything, and then everything turns into a big mess. Which leads us to what we got today. All right. So we got a guy that's a general from Iran acting as a lead warrior against the United States in Iraq, who's helping to take out many soldiers, right? And this guy was sitting in office with President Obama. All right. So he was in office. He was sitting with President Obama. Obama gave Iraq billions of dollars. All right. And that's how we dealt with them at the time. Problem was that everything Iran said they was going to do with the centrifuge, they just didn't do. All right. And the government knew they weren't going to do it. But, it's the appearance of showing us that, hey, we're doing something. All right. And here's the thing. Right now, there has been a second drone strike. All right. All right. There has been a second drone strike. All right. And it took out 6 Iranian militants. So hold on. Let me get this real quick, and I'm gonna okay. And um, hold on for a second. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Roderick Hayes, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. When Colin Powell was, and they did him dirty. Yeah, the Taliban. Did I say Al Qaeda? Um, right. The Taliban, the Mujahideen, and which then turned into Al Qaeda. All right, and that's because the Taliban, and we used Bin Laden to help arm the Taliban to fight the Russians, which turned into which turned into Al Qaeda. All right, so that's basically what we're dealing with. All right, that's what we're dealing with, people. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. All right. So with all this stuff going on, what made me decide to do this video is I'm looking at all these ignorant fools and I can't understand. Um, our community is on a whole nother level of ignorant. It shocks and surprises me how much on a whole nother level of ignorant our community is. You would think we would know a little better than that. All right. But our community is so filled with the news media wants us to be filled with that one, we're afraid of our own shadow, and we have no understanding, no close, no near, no close, no understanding of anything. We don't research anything. We don't look for anything. And even though Google makes it a little easier, that is still too much for us. All right. And so this is this is kind of this is kind of the sadness that is the so-called Afro and Black community. This is the sadness that's going on. We literally are that bad that we just literally do not have that kind of a clue. All right. And we don't have a clue, because our generation was taught that ignorance is bliss. And basically, that's where we stand. That ignorance is just really that bliss. All right. So as we move on, so we got the Mujahideen, we got the Taliban, which turns into Al Qaeda. We got the CIA just wrecking everything. And now we got a whole bunch of people that want to do harm to the United States, because our government is just really that much out of control. Our government is out of control because, quite frankly, the people are out of control. Period. Our government is out of control because the people are out of control. Our government can manipulate us because it's easy to manipulate us. Why? Because the people are out of control. And so, hold on. And so we got this piece here. All right. We got people that we got people that are easily misdirected, by the media, because the media tells us whatever is expedient. Right? All right, the media tells us whatever is expedient, and then we run with it. So then we had this thing here. All right. So this was a stunner in the news media. This was a stunner story in the news media. All right. And so this is where people start to feel like, oh, well, you know what they feel about Obama. This is why they felt this way. All right. And then you had this story come up where the imminent, and this is the one I wanted to go over. All right. All right. So the first one was Bloomberg, and here's the second one. All right. Soleimani. All right. President Trump accused General Soleimani is planning imminent and sinister attack Friday. Okay. Um, we took action that we took the last action. Um, we took action last night to stop a war. All right, and this goes into some other news that I heard as the reason why all this went down. Trump said, and me and Dwight discussed this. We were discussing this. This is why I came. Started my. This is why I started my live a little late. Trump said during the brief remarks that his Mar-a-Lago resort, Florida, we did not take action to start a war. So they were saying they took action to stop a war. And nine, the president said the United States caught the general in the acts, caught the general in the act and terminated him. The act of what? Okay. And so we go into all of his history, right? And so when Trump says, here we go, here we go. Hey, Dwight, this is what I discussed with you. The officials said the attacks were being planned in Syria and Lebanon and targeted U.S. diplomats, military personnel, and facilities that house Americans. They claim hundreds of Americans could have been killed. All right. And so this is basically it. All right. Now, something else significant. They said they caught him in the act. All right. So that's significant. Right? They caught him in the act. Now, here's the thing. A USMC vet, he probably only need 750 ground troops. And this is why. Uh-oh, 68 whiskey, another 68 in his ear. All right. Yeah, you're right, Roger Case. So here's the deal. All right, this is what's going on. So, the white, this is what I was telling you. Um, this is what I was telling you, the white. Um, that when I said that Trump was trying to prevent a war, right? You're right, USMC fan. This is why there was only 750. He come in only 750 more. All right, now let me break this down. The reason why this was such an imminent thing, right? Because now that I gave y'all the history, now that I gave y'all Clinton's history on Benghazi, how they did nothing and allowed those people, and so under Hillary, she allowed a diplomat, soldiers are soldiers, but when she allowed the diplomats, all the diplomats, to perish and do nothing, that set the tone for what Trump was going to do, because he's trying not to repeat the mistakes, the brazen mistakes that those before him made. So if they did the peace thing and it didn't work, he says, I'm going to do the opposite. It still might not work, but I won't do the same thing that didn't work before. All right. All right. So when they caught him in an act of planning to off diplomats, understand, diplomats. Where are diplomats housed? Somebody help me real quick. Where do you house a diplomat? You house diplomats more times than not in embassies. Embassies are kind of soft light targets that have their own marine protection. But if you're in the middle of somebody else's country, they could overwhelm them. All right. So now you got a situation where if they were to attack a bunch of embassies, the United States would have to go through Congress to declare war. If they were able to attack a bunch of embassies as a unified group and take them out, take out the people, and the United States people would demand it. Even the news would have a problem with it as soon as one news organization, would have let that out, that this general just took out diplomats in 3 embassies, took them out cold blood, that would have galvanized people to go to war. We don't need that. Well, here's the thing. This is a Texas Marine. Here is the thing. Remember that I showed you that a lot of Muslims were dancing in the streets? All right. Iranians are the minority. They're the majority. They're Shia Muslims. They're Shia Muslims, right? They're the majority inside Iran only. Right? They're the majority inside Iran only. Outside of Iran, they are Sunni. Iran has not been nice to the Sunni Muslims inside Iran. And there is Iran's Achilles heel. They have not been nice to Sunni Muslims inside of Iran. So I doubt that many Sunni Muslims outside of Iran would readily side with them. All right, because they're almost parallel to the United States as how egregious their actions were towards the Sunni Muslims inside Iran. So why do I educate y'all on that? A lot of us black folk, as I say, don't understand that there's a difference between a Sunni and a Shia Muslim. And that difference goes back in a split as to who they thought should carry on the traditions of Muhammad. And that's a long drawn out thing. That's for another video on history and the history of Islam, which, like, maybe next time the white could get on and we could do that, we could discuss that. All right. Unless he want to discuss it briefly here. But the split between the Sunni and Shia has much to do with how the person that was going to be the next leader will inherit, and under which guidelines are you considered a Muslim. All right. And it goes into a split into the interpretation of the Quran and all the rest of that stuff. I might give that lesson, but it'd be nice if I had another brother that's living over there that could add a lot more to that. All right. So why am I familiar with all of that? Yes, 85% are Sunni Muslims except for inside of Iraq. All right. So USA is not a foolish nation. I keep telling everybody that most people come here to have the freedom to do whatever they want. All right. And the people that's working with you, The United States have not made, if they made them as poor as black people here, we would have a problem. If the United States treated anybody the way they treated the Afro people here that are indigenous to America, then they would have a problem. All right. So that's basically okay, good. All right, so there's a lot of history here, right? And so this is how Iran's split from everybody else. So basically, and it's a lot deeper than that. All right. And so basically, so now after all of this, right? So as you see in here, that what they were planning to do were to attack diplomats. All right. Now, I'm going to say this. The left and certain people have been pushing for a war since President Trump got into office. And not all of the left, though, but there's a lot of people on the left that are a part of certain organizations that have been pushing for war. Remember, the left have become the hawks, and you can even see it in the news. So you can even see it in the news. After the left death, yes. Right. Right. All right. Well, the U.S. is a haven for Shia and Sunnis. The U.S. is a haven for the Shia that live outside of Iraq, but the Sunnis that live inside of Iraq. I mean, hold on, let me rephrase that. The U.S. is the haven for Sunnis that live inside of Iran and Shia that live outside of Iran. All right, period. Yes, that's it. Yep. So the white is breaking it down, so I don't have to. All right, and so this is basically what's going on, right? This is what's basically going on. So basically, if they caught them red-handed about to launch strikes on embassies, when you take out diplomats, that is an act of war. And if you're able to catch somebody on their way to do that thing that will bring you into war and take them out first, Trump is saying that that's an act of self-defense. Now, in saying all of this, since that particular general has the track record that he has, all right, this kind of gives him flexibility. It kind of insulates him from the actions that he has taken. All right. And we're not talking about whether you agree with it or not. We're talking about the reality All right, because we don't agree with too much. Because what we see is we've seen a lot of America meddling in everybody's business. We've seen that they've been unrighteous towards us, and until they get right with us as Afro peoples, we're always going to question their motives in anything that they do. Like I said, most of the people that Trump like Trump because they like Trump. They would have voted for him had he been a Democrat or a Republican. Many of Americans don't like the Democrats anymore because we see the bull they're about. We see how the media have been assassinating our character for in perpetuity. But the Republicans, we don't trust them either, because they're not the people of the people that helped win the Civil War. Period. When Afro men like Trump, they like him because he's a man. He don't take no BS like we don't take no BS, and we like that about any man. Oh, guess who liked Bill Clinton? The same Afro men that like Trump. You know, and so here's the thing: everybody is worried about a nuclear strike. Everybody is worried about a nuclear strike. The first country that is not the US or Russia or China that puts up a Peasley nuclear strike, say if it's one of our side that do it against the Russia or China, but that's not going to happen. If you mess with us three bears will wipe you off the face of the earth. Basically because we can. All right? In that manner. Nobody wants that. And it's like its own deterrent. Yes. Well, and this is basically it. That the white, I'm gonna disagree with you kind of on that. That's not a fair assessment on on the Iran thing. I think that the U.S., when we overthrew their government, provoked everything we're getting now. But it kind of ended up provoking us after the hostage crisis, right? After the hostage crisis, everything was provoke, answer, provoke, answer, provoke, answer. So it's not just been the U.S. provoking acts of war on Iran. They've been doing it to the U.S. too. It's just that the U.S. started it when we overthrew their government. You see what I'm saying? And so that's basically what happened, right? Yeah, everybody loses. Now, here's the thing. No, it'll be the same world skirmishes that we're having. All right. So the thing is, what's going on with us in Iran is to slap back, slap back, slap back, slap back, and it all started when we overthrew their democratically elected government under the CIA in 1960 or 70 and installed the Shah. It was all downhill from there. All right. And then, if there was any hope, the Iranis dashed it with the hostage taking in 1979 to 1980. Period. But then the hostage taking was orchestrated by the Shah of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, at the time, who we installed by slapping Iran in the face over their them wanting to control their oil by getting rid of their democratically elected government. So, yeah, that's kind of basically what's going on now. All right. So, basically, we've been giving them a lot of money over the past administrations, right? But we was wondering what the red line was that the Trump was not going to tolerate, and this was it. So when they decided that they were going to go after U.S. diplomats, that would cause a war. The British started this long before the hostage crisis. Oh yeah, yeah, the white, yeah. Hey, hey, the white. Do you think MI5 had something to do with asking the CIA to go in to overthrow? Because you know what? You what do you? I mean, the thing that began this thing between us and Iran with overthrowing their, was that an act more of the British Secret Service asking us to do something about it? I wonder. There it is. That's what. Okay, there it is. And that's what happened. When the president was elected, he nationalized. So we did what we did on behalf of the Britons. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, the white. The Shah of Iran was put there. He's the one that orchestrated the hostage crisis, but that's who we put there as a result of that oil thing to overthrow their government in the 70s. The same guy we put in to take over the government to be for us stabbed us in the back because we was busy stabbing Iran in the back on behalf of the British government. All right. At the time, Blair. So basically, yeah. So the white. This is the outline that I'm getting. That the Ayatollah was put in to be a puppet, but it turned out not to be quite the puppet. Because they still nationalized their oil and then did what they did. All right. So now we get to this. All right. Now, here's the thing. This is where everything becomes interesting. Everything becomes interesting because you got Sunni and Shia basically rejoicing you got the Democrats who aren't going to be told anything because they've been stabbing this president in the back from the get-go. They've been leaking everything subjectively to the news. So you can't trust them in anything. You got Trump that says that, okay, soldiers, I don't care because soldiers are truck soldiers because he's a builder, right? But he feels like he has to do something about things when you take out one of the U.S. Civilian. And diplomats have a special status. And if you take out somebody's diplomats, you can expel them from the country, but they were talking about offing them. And so, with that happening, that is an act of war. All right? You have people that's going to step in and tell you what they would have done. Half of them never did anything anyway. All right? You got people in places inside Iran, and you got many more people inside Iraq that are rejoicing at the passing, dare I say passing, of this particular individual and his second in command. And then you got some more people inside Iraq that says that the United States must pay. So at the end of the day, oh yes, the white, yep. As a matter of fact, Saddam Hussein tried to warn us about Al Qaeda and a lot of stuff going on with 9/11. True, it is low yield. Okay, 20 years later, we invaded Iraq. Yep. Texas T, Texas Marine. They put Bin Laden power in Iraq. No, they put Bin Laden in power. He was Bin Laden was in charge of the Taliban. But when we stabbed him in the back, then they turned into Al Qaeda. And um, in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, right? We didn't take over any of the Iraqi oil fields, right? But oil was why we were fighting because Iraqi thought to annex part of Kuwait because they had a long standing thing that said they owned the part they were going to annex. All right. Kuwait, because that we had a treaty with Kuwait, they asked us to come and intervene on their behalf. So basically, we were fighting over oil, but we were fighting so that Kuwait could stay in charge of the oil fields that they had in the land that we in Kuwait believed was theirs. But Iraq believed that the part of land that some of the oil fields stood on was their land. All right. So this is basically what we have going on. And so when you basically look at it, All of this just isn't over oil, it's over money. All of this isn't just over oil, it's over how the United States want to control everybody in how they deal with stuff. All right. Now, in one thing, I am glad that Trump is kind of sort of an isolationist, a non-globalist about taking over other people's stuff. I'll give him that. Yep. So, yeah, and so this is what we have going on. Now, I wanted to break this all down because I know many people are not going to come and listen to my channel because they don't like all these details. Many other people aren't going to listen to it because the truth don't make the America look good in any of this. Yes, they did. But that isn't the only reason. Saddam tried to warn us is because he didn't want in Iraq what ISIS was starting to become everywhere else, and Al Qaeda. They was getting too much of a foothold, and you know dictators are against having foothold in their dictatorship. But when we stabbed him in the back, we stabbed ourselves in the back. Why? Because we don't want anybody else to share and have control over a damn thing. Let me stop saying we. Why? Because the United States government, because I know that many people would be like, what? That's what this is about? Let them people have their stuff. We got enough. We're blessed. If you ask the regular lay people, you know, the regular 9 to 5ers, we wouldn't be for all this takeover stuff because we know that the top 1% is the only one that want all this money, that want all this control because they're playing this big worldwide game of Monopoly with bombs and bullets. Period. And if most of America understood what was really going on in their name, they wouldn't have it from either party. But we don't because we are ignorant bunch of fools that don't remember history, don't know history, and we too busy trying to see what the Kardashians are going to do tomorrow. Oh yeah, great point, Roderick Hayes. Great point. He kept everybody in check. Great point. We had more peace in the Middle East when Saddam and Gaddafi were in their respective places. And now we have none. We're worried about the Russians getting the foothold with Saddam. I mean Assad. Did I say Assad? Man, I combine Saddam and Assad. All right, Assad. All right, we don't, and the reason why we don't remember it, okay, remember our history and stuff. We don't know it is because we want to be ignorant fools. We want to be distracted. Oh, and we want CNN to speak for us. We want CNN to speak to us. If CNN don't say it, it must not be true. But let me put it to you this way. If CNN is saying it, it's probably not true. Period. CNN is not objective. They don't give you news. They do not educate. I went to Bloomberg, but the best we got right now is C-SPAN. Period. And if you really want to know some angles, all right, there was a time that you should never watch Fox. But right now, Fox is about the only thing that's going to just dig into some of the stories that's going on with actual paperwork and facts. And they're only going to do this because, well, the president just happened to be a Republican. All right. And so this is where we at. There is no nothing in the United States anymore. And the media, the news media, all this stuff should be thoroughly ashamed, but they're not. Because they don't give a F. It's not even about ratings anymore. It's about using the platform to try to push people and force people to believe what they want to believe. If you notice, most of these people will not watch this, but they will want to try to force us to follow their path, even though we see it as destructive. These people say this is a country of free speech, but the main people that want free speech for themselves will shut it down for other people as soon as somebody put up an objective argument against the BS that they're spitting out. I look at, all right, when I was giving the stuff that I was making on YouTube in the United States, putting people back in college, not hardly any of these females that I was helping ever donated to the channel. Why? Because they feel owed. Not C-SPAN, Dwight. Everything is propaganda, but everything is not propaganda. All right. And the reason why I said Fox and C-SPAN is that Fox has put up the most paperwork to show us what's really going on. And the most real news, simply because, like I said, Trump is the president, and he happens to be a Republican. I doubt that they would be as thorough if he was a Democrat. I'm just saying. C-SPAN, because they put up everything in its entirety, and you can make up your own mind as to what's going on. Like the judicial hearings on the FISA warrants. All right, you get to sit there and watch everything in context in real time. All right. Right. Yeah, I put that up. I put the breakdown of the companies up in the video. Yeah, we had discussed that. Yeah. Well, the newspapers are just as toxic, right? None of them are any good. The reason why I say Fox and C-SPAN, because Fox is good when you're dealing with a Republican, right? Meaning that the other thing that's Trump is Fox really didn't like Trump. So that's why they had to be fair, because they really don't like him, right? But if the Democrats are doing some BS against a Republican president, they're going to call it out, even though they don't like the guy. And remember, Fox was upset that Trump won. Remember, that's how come Megyn Kelly got fired. Remember the media coverage when Trump was running? Fox was strongly against him. Megyn Kelly was against him. A lot of their anchors were against him. Exactly. The real news, the people doing a real research. Because if you notice, I use about 3 or 4 sources that's reporting on it, so I can get a thing. But I am using your experience. Since most of us are former military, many many of us served in other countries, right? And I'm using our common sense to navigate through this minefield of all this BS that the news media keeps trying to pull out. Because at the end of the day, oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Like long history in entertainment, not journalism. Yeah, absolutely none, Lord Vader. All right, I don't have a problem, right? And so basically, this is what's going on. All right, we got to see things for what it is. All right, but here's the thing: we had it. It was people like me that was able to show y'all stuff, investigate stuff, but we keep getting shut down by our own. We talk about news and stuff because they don't like the competition. They don't like people calling me smart, intelligent, and stuff because they want to talk about stuff with no real insight because they haven't done anything or been anywhere. So they can't see the things from the perspective in a way I can talk to many of y'all because we're all mainly most of us are former military. All right. We can't have nothing so long as bigger groups of these sorry simps are going to come around in these manospheres and stuff and start taking down channels that they think are competition for the ears of the people. Because while Caucasian people come together and help each other out, these dudes only see people that have smaller channels than them as competition. Oh yeah, and that was a big disaster. That Gulf oil spill was the most, and don't forget the Exxon Valdez, that oil field spill. All right, we can't have our own stuff because we don't know which one of us is going to tear us down. But y'all see, if you go on my videos, you will see somebody will always thumb something down, and I could be talking about rainbows and butterflies. They thumb down videos of the NGO, of the children doing their thing. Think about that. All right. This is the state we live in. That's why we as brothers have to separate and save ourselves. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, I got to rest my voice. All right. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Um, if you haven't thumbs up, please thumbs up. Um, if you would like to help what I do with the children and like to help this channel, my donation links and everything will be in the description box. Yeah, they did. They did. These Negroes, KNEGROWS, flagged my video of me and the brother going down to take a bunch of pallets of water in the flooded area. Lord, I'm gonna just stop there. This is what it is. They flagged up that video. Remember the teacher? Sad, 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 sad. So it is. That's the community. That is the community right there. Oh, let me just say this. Check and see if y'all are subscribed too, because YouTube has been deleting my subscribers too. Some of them I get back, but they've been just deleting them. But I want y'all to think about that. Every video that they flagged or thumbs down videos where it showed me helping people. Hey, if you don't have anything, don't bother. I'm just saying, just help if you can and if you want to, right? You don't have to want to, and if you can't, then you shouldn't. All right, and so that's basically it. So for the rest of it, my PayPal me and my Cash App link is in the description box. Let me get my voice back up, and I will holler at you all later. Peace, love, and soul. I go here first. No, I go here first. All right, y'all. So peace, love, and soul. I'm out.